The average wedding in the UK right now costs more than £30,000. That is a house deposit. People are choosing a single Saturday over a front door.
And the worst part, nobody even remembers the centerpieces. Nobody, not one person at any wedding has ever gone home thinking, thank God for those pillar candles.
Okay, welcome back. Let him cook.
Welcome to Sunk Cost. I'm Alex, Sofia's here, and we are two friends with one mic and a frankly dangerous number of opinions about money. Quick note before we start. We're moving to 2 episodes a week now, Mondays and Thursdays, so you get a bit more room to breathe between takes. Today we are talking about weddings, specifically why they now cost the same as a small car, a large holiday, or, in London, approximately 1 bathroom renovation. Sophia, I'm going to start with the most important question. At what point did weddings become completely mental?
I'd argue they were always a little unhinged, but the tipping point is social media. The moment weddings became content, the budget stopped being about the couple and started being about the real.
Right. Because it used to be, your nan made the cake, your uncle took photos on a film camera, there was a buffet with those little sausage rolls, and everyone was happy. That was a wedding.
Alex, that sounds like a birthday party in 1987.
It sounds like a brilliant time is what it sounds like. Nobody was 30 grand in the hole.
Okay, but here's the thing. The 30,000 figure is the average. The median is lower. What's happening is a small number of absolutely wild spenders are dragging that number up, while everyone else is just quietly maxing out their credit cards to keep up with what they think everyone else is spending.
So it's like the wedding version of lifestyle inflation. You see someone else's wedding on Instagram, and suddenly your perfectly nice village hall feels inadequate.
Exactly. And that comparison trap is doing so much work here. Nobody thinks their wedding needs to be the most expensive wedding ever. They just don't want it to look cheap relative to the last 3 weddings they went to.
Oh, that's brutal. So every wedding raises the floor for the next one.
The floor and the guest list expectations and the dress code and yes, it compounds.
And the vendors know this. That's what gets me. You ring up a caterer and say the word wedding, and the price goes up 40%. I've heard people say they pretend it's a corporate event just to get a normal quote.
Oh, the wedding tax is absolutely real. It's not even a conspiracy theory, it's just pricing psychology. The vendor knows you're emotionally invested. They know you've got a fixed date you can't move. And they know you will not haggle on the most important day of your life.
The most important day of your life. That phrase is doing so much heavy lifting in the wedding industry. It's basically their entire business model. Well, it's the most important day of your life, so surely you want the good napkins.
Surely you want the napkins that have been individually ironed by someone who trained in Tuscany.
Yes. And look, I'm not saying your wedding shouldn't be special. I'm saying there's a massive gap between special and financially ruinous. And the industry has convinced everyone that gap doesn't exist.
And here's where it gets genuinely interesting. There's a concept in behavioral economics called affective forecasting, which is basically our terrible ability to predict how happy something will make us. We consistently overestimate how much joy a bigger, fancier version of something will bring us versus the simpler version.
So we think the extra 10 grand on the venue will make us 10 grand happier.
And it won't. The research on this is pretty well established. Experiential upgrades above a certain threshold basically stop registering emotionally. You adapt. The flowers were beautiful, then the flowers were just there, then you don't remember the flowers.
I once spent 400 quid on a hotel room thinking it would be a transformative experience. Slept the same as I do on my terrible mattress in my freezing flat. Woke up, had a shower, left.
£400 for the same sleep.
To be fair, the shower was brilliant. But still, point stands.
And how much did your last mini repair cost, just for context?
We are not doing the mini thing today, Sophia. We're talking about weddings. Stay with me.
I'm just establishing a pattern of behavior.
Right, but here's where it gets really weird. The couples who spend the most on their weddings aren't necessarily the happiest couples. There's no correlation. The big spend doesn't predict the marriage, it just predicts the debt.
And that debt is real. I've seen figures suggesting a significant chunk of couples start their marriage carrying wedding debt. You're literally beginning your financial life together in a hole you dug for one day.
One day. And I know people say it's a memory, it's an experience, you can't put a price on it. But you literally can. You did. You put £30,000 on it. That is the price. You priced it.
That's actually a really good point.
Thank you. I have them occasionally.
Okay, counterpoint though. I don't think it's just vanity. Some of it is genuine family pressure. First-generation couples especially. There's an expectation from parents, from community, that a proper wedding looks a certain way, has a certain number of guests. Opting out isn't always an option.
No, that's fair. That's actually a completely different conversation, because then you're not just spending for yourself, you're spending to honor people who sacrificed a lot for you. That hits different.
Right, and I think this show where someone does a 10-person elopement and posts it going, "We spent $3,000 and it was perfect." That works for them, genuinely, but it's not a universal option. Context matters enormously.
So what do you actually do if you're caught between wanting to be financially sensible and not wanting to let people down?
Honestly, you treat it like any other big purchase. You decide the number first, before you look at anything. You set the ceiling, then you shop inside it. The mistake everyone makes is falling in love with a venue and then reverse engineering a budget to justify it.
Ah, the classic, I already emotionally committed, now I need the money to agree with me move. I do that with holidays. And, to be transparent, with this oat milk situation I've apparently built a lifestyle around.
£4 a day, Alex. That's over £1,400 a year. On oat milk lattes.
Why do you have that number ready?
I always have that number ready. It's in the spreadsheet.
Of course it is. Right, okay, back to weddings. The other thing nobody talks about is the guest list economics. Every single person you invite is not just a chair, they're a meal, a favor, a piece of cake, a +1 potentially. Adding 20 people to a wedding can add 6,000 quid easily.
And yet, cutting the guest list is somehow the most emotionally charged decision of the whole process. People will negotiate on the flowers before they'll cut a cousin.
Because the flowers don't have feelings. The cousin will bring it up at Christmas for the next 30 years.
Final boss take. The wedding industry's greatest invention isn't the open bar or the photo booth. It's convincing us that every single person who has ever met the couple must be physically present, or the marriage doesn't count.
Oh, that's actually sinister when you put it like that. Because the guest list is the budget. Fix the guest list and you fix the number.
Completely. The venue scales with guests. The catering scales with guests. The cake scales with guests. If you want to have your wedding budget, you don't need to shop around for cheaper flowers. You invite fewer people. But nobody wants to hear that.
Because it forces a conversation about who actually matters to you. And that's uncomfortable.
Which is actually kind of beautiful in a way. The wedding budget forces you to rank your relationships. Most of us never do that explicitly.
I reckon Jess's wedding had about 200 people, and I'd bet half of them she hadn't spoken to in years. That's a lot of chicken or salmon for someone you follow on Instagram.
Did you go?
I did not get an invite, which, fine, completely fine. I'm fine. Moving on.
Completely fine.
Completely. The point is, how much do you actually need to spend to have a wedding that people enjoy and that you'll look back on happily. Because I don't think it's 30 grand.
My honest take is that below a certain quality floor, bad food, no music, venue falling apart, it affects the experience. But above that floor, the extra spending is almost entirely about status signaling, not happiness. And obviously, we're two people with opinions here, not your financial advisors. Please do not make your wedding decisions based on a podcast.
God no, don't take money advice from me. I once tried to save money by going vegetarian and lasted 11 days before I caved to a 12 quid kebab at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday.
And Diego's last vet bill was $400, so I'm also not the role model here.
Diego, living his best life on your wedding budget.
He had a tooth removed. He needed it.
$400 for a cat tooth.
He needed it, Alex.
I know. Right, here's where I land on this. Weddings cost what they cost, partly because we let the industry set the expectations, partly because social comparison is doing brutal psychological work on us, and partly because we genuinely don't decide the number before we fall in love with the vision. Fix those three things, and you can probably have a brilliant wedding for a fraction of the average spend.
And the couples I actually think are smart? They spend on the one or two things that genuinely matter to them. Incredible food, a band they love, whatever it is. And they go totally minimal on everything else. Intentional splurging inside a fixed total.
Yes, that's the move. Not across-the-board luxury, but specific luxury. Know what you actually care about.
Which, by the way, is a pretty good money principle for everything, not just weddings.
On that note, that's sunk cost for today. The takeaway: weddings aren't expensive because love is expensive. They're expensive because comparison is expensive. And we've all quietly agreed to a set of expectations that nobody actually voted for. Question the expectations before you sign the venue contract. That's the bit. Right. This Thursday, we're asking whether people retiring at 35 are geniuses or completely delusional. And I have very strong feelings. And remember, we're on our new rhythm now, Mondays and Thursdays. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you Thursday.
I'm going to push back on everything you just said. Thursday.